There we are. Come in quickly now. Don't stand there letting the rain find its way down your collar. It's a fierce one tonight, isn't it? Just listen to that latch click into place. Do you hear that? That's the sound of the world being locked out, and you being locked safely in. You can leave the weight of the road right there by the threshold. Whatever hills you've been climbing today, whatever wind you've been fighting against, it stops right here at this door. You look absolutely perished, if you don't mind me saying. Your shoulders are up near your ears, and your eyes have that look of someone who's been staring at a flickering screen or a long horizon for far too long. Well, you can stop now. There is nothing out there that needs your attention for the rest of the night. No maps to study, no storms to outrun. We're tucked away in a little pocket of the world that the rest of the map has forgotten. Shake those boots off right there on the rug. That's it. Let's get you settled before you catch a chill. I've been keeping the fire steady, just waiting for your knock. And the stone walls are holding the heat beautifully. It's a bit of a contrast to that blue gloom pressing against the window pane, isn't it? I always think the rain sounds better when there's a thick piece of glass and a heavy stone wall between you and it. Come closer to the hearth. Can you feel that? That's not just heat, it's a proper welcome. I've even pulled the bench right up to the table for you. I know it's just a simple wooden thing, but it's sturdy, and it's right where the light from the candle can reach you. Sit down. Rest a minute. Please. You don't have to say a word. I know the sort of day it's been. The kind where the noise of the world just won't seem to hush, even when you're standing in silence. It's a buzzing, isn't it? Like a hive of bees in the back of the mind. But here, the only thing allowed to buzz is the kettle when it's ready. And even then, it's a gentle sort of song. See there, on the bench by the window? That's my old ginger cat. He hasn't even bothered to open an eye since you walked in. He knows a safe harbor when he feels one, and he's decided that tonight is for sleeping. He's curled up right on top of those folded wool blankets, the thick, heavy ones. If you feel a draft, just reach over and take the top one. He won't mind. He'll just sink into the one beneath it. I've got some lavender and sage drying on the hutch over there, and the scent is just starting to mingle with the wood smoke. It's a clean smell, earthy and honest. I find it helps to settle the thoughts when they start to wander off into what-ifs and should-haves. Tonight, there are no should-haves. There is only the is. And what is right now is a warm room, a dry floor, and a hot meal on the horizon. I was just about to start on a bit of supper, a simple shepherd's stew. Nothing fancy, mind you. Just some roots from the garden, a few herbs, and the steady rhythm of a knife on wood. It's slow work, and that's exactly why I like it. You're more than welcome to just sit there on the bench for a moment and watch the shadows dance on the stone walls while I get to it. Let the wood hold you up while you find your breath again. Actually, now that you've stopped shivering, why don't you move over here? I've pulled that green armchair, the plaid one, a little closer to the hearth for you. Go on, sink into it properly this time. The bench was for catching your breath, but this chair is for losing the world entirely. Can you feel the warmth of the fire on your shins now? That's the ticket. It's the best medicine I know for a mind that's been running too fast. Out there, the storm is trying its best to rattle the very thatch on the roof. But in here, We're tucked behind 2 feet of solid stone. Let it howl. It can't reach us. It's just background music now, isn't it? A wild blue symphony played against the glass, making our little golden circle feel that much more certain. On a night like this, when the damp seems to want to settle into your very bones, a simple cup of tea isn't quite enough. No, what we need is a proper heart warmer. That's what my grandmother used to call a good shepherd's stew. It's more than just food. It's a way of reclaiming the day. It's taking all those cold, scattered feelings and simmering them down into something sturdy and nourishing. Look at the baskets I've brought in. I've got potatoes still dusted with the dark earth of the garden, and onions with skins that crinkle like old parchment. There's a certain magic in these humble things, don't you think? They grow in the quiet and the dark, taking their time, untroubled by the wind. I find there's a lesson in that. We spend so much of our lives trying to bloom and show our colors, but sometimes the best thing you can do is just stay grounded, stay quiet, and grow strong when no one is looking. I'm going to start by just sorting through these herbs. I've got bundles of them hanging from the rafters and the hutch. Lavender, rosemary, and some wild thyme I gathered back when the sun was still high and golden over the glen. Can you smell that? As I brush past them, they release just a hint of that summer ghost. It's a reminder that the sun is still there, somewhere behind all that grey rain, just waiting for its turn again. I've set a small candle on the table beside you, right next to those smooth river stones I brought home last week. I like the way the flame reflects in the wood grain of the table. It's a steady little light, isn't it? It doesn't flicker much because the walls here are tight and the drafts are few. You can just watch that flame for a while if you like. You don't have to think about what comes tomorrow. Tomorrow is a long way off, on the other side of a good night's sleep. I'll be working right over here by the stove. You can hear the heavy cast iron humming as it heats up. It's a reliable sound. I'm going to take my time with this. There's no rush. In the world you came from, everything has a deadline, doesn't it? Everything is urgent. But in this kitchen, the only thing that matters is the thickness of the potato peel and the way the steam begins to rise from the pot. The cat has moved from his pile of blankets to the chair next to yours. He's a good judge of character, that one. He knows you're staying a while, and he's decided your presence is a peaceful sort. It's quite a compliment coming from him. Just let your gaze wander over the jars on the shelves, the pickled greens, the preserved fruits, the row of copper pans catching the firelight. Everything is in its place. Everything is prepared for the winter. We're going to make this meal together, in a way. I'll do the chopping and the stirring, and you provide the stillness. That's a very important job, you know. A house needs someone to be still in it, to give the walls a reason to stand tall. So, just stay right there in that plaid chair. Let the fire do its work on the outside, and I'll start on the work that warms you from the inside. Now, let's see what the earth has provided for us today. I'm moving over to the heavy work table here. Can you see it? It's a thick slab of oak that's seen more meals than I can count. It's got a bit of flour dusted across the grain, a reminder of the bread I baked this morning. There's something so honest about a wooden table, isn't there? It holds the history of every season, every harvest, and every guest who's ever leaned their elbows upon it. I'm laying out our earth gifts now. I've got these heirloom carrots, still vibrant and orange, with their green tops trailing across the wood. They've got a bit of the garden soil still clinging to them, but we'll wash that away soon enough. And these potatoes, they're heavy and cool to the touch, like stones pulled from a riverbed. They're the foundation of a good stew. They don't ask for much, but they give back everything they have. Just look at the way the candlelight catches that silver mug of yours. The steam is curling up in thin, lazy ribbons, swaying back and forth in the warmth of the room. It's a tiny, quiet dance, just for us. I've placed a sprig of rosemary and some thyme right here next to the rolling pin. The scent is wonderful, woody and sharp, like a walk through a pine forest after the rain. When I bruise the leaves, it fills the air, mingling with the smell of the damp earth on the vegetables. It's the scent of the world settling down for the night. I've got my favorite knife here, the one with the white handle. It's been sharpened so many times, it's a bit thinner than it used to be, but it fits my hand like it grew there. I'm going to start with these carrots. Do you hear that? The crisp snap as the blade goes through? It's a rhythmic sound. It's the only clock we're going to follow tonight. We aren't counting minutes, we're just counting slices. Take a look at the jars on the shelves behind the table. I've got everything tucked away in glass. Dried mushrooms that look like crumpled velvet, golden oils that shimmer in the firelight, and those deep purple pickled cabbage leaves. It's a bit of a treasure chest, really. I spent the whole summer filling those jars, so that when nights like this arrived, when the storm is throwing itself against that small window, we'd have everything we need to stay cozy. There's a small piece of parchment on the table too, scrawled with a few notes. It isn't a strict recipe, more of a suggestion from my mother. She always said that a stew is only as good as the patience you put into it. If you try to rush the onions, they'll stay sharp. But if you let them take their time, they turn into something sweet and golden, like honey. I think people are a bit like that too. We try to rush through our days, trying to get to the end. But the sweetness only happens when we slow down and let the heat do its work. I'll just set these books aside, the ones tied with twine. They're old stories, mostly. Sometimes, when the stew is simmering and the house is quiet, I like to read a page or two. But tonight, the story is right here. It's in the sound of the rain, the glow of the hearth in the background, and the way the light reflects off the copper pots hanging by the fire. You just stay nestled in that chair. Don't worry about the mess I'm making with the flour or the carrot tops. That's for later. Right now, your only job is to exist in this moment. Watch the way the shadow of the rosemary moves against the table. Listen to the steady thud of the knife on the wood. It's a grounded sound, isn't it? It says that despite the wind and the wildness outside, here, things are being handled. Things are being prepared. You are being looked after. Now, look here at the center of it all, this heavy cast iron pot hanging over the embers. This is the real heart of the cottage. It's been in my family from more generations than I have fingers to count them on. My grandfather carried it in his pack when he moved the flocks to the high summer pastures, and his grandmother used it to brew tonics for the village when the winters turned cruel. It's seen a lot of life, this pot. It has a memory in its iron, I think. It isn't perfectly smooth anymore. If you look closely at the lid, you can see the little pits and marks where the fire has kissed it over the years. It's a bit like us, isn't it? We all carry a few marks from the seasons we've weathered. But those marks don't make the pot any less useful. They just make it hold the heat better. They give it character. There's a certain comfort in things that are built to last. Things that don't need to be updated or replaced every time the wind changes direction. See the steam beginning to curl around the rim? It rises in those slow, ghostly plumes, dancing upward toward the dried mushrooms I've got hanging on that string. I gathered those chanterelles back in the autumn, when the floor of the woods was soft with needles and the air was crisp. They've been waiting right there, dangling above the warmth, concentrating all that forest flavor, just for a night like tonight. I've laid out my glasses and an open ledger on the bench here. I like to keep a record of the things that work. Which herbs brought the most comfort? How many logs it took to keep the hearth glowing until dawn. It's my way of making sense of the world, one small detail at a time. Sometimes, when the modern world feels like it's shouting too loud, it helps to focus on something as quiet as the scratch of a nib on paper, or the way the bellows feel in your hands. Can you feel the weight of the air in here now? It's getting thicker, richer. The scent of the herbs is starting to deepen as the pot begins to hum. It's a low, resonant sound, a vibration you feel in your chest more than you hear with your ears. It's the sound of safety. I've placed a leather pouch of salt and some small copper coins on the table, just little reminders of the trade and the harvest. Everything we have here is earned and respected. There's a lantern in the window behind the pot, casting a soft amber glow against the blue of the night. It's a signal, I suppose, a way of telling the storm that this little patch of the world is claimed. We are not lost in the dark. We have our fire, we have our iron, and we have each other's company. I'm going to use these tongs to adjust the coals just a bit. We want a steady, even heat, nothing too aggressive. We aren't in a hurry to get to the end of the meal. We're just enjoying the process of it, becoming. You can see the orange glow reflecting off the brass mortar and pestle over there too. Everything is shining. Everything is warm. I want you to just watch that steam for a minute. See how it twists and turns? It's never the same shape twice. It's quite mesmerizing if you let yourself really look at it. Forget about the things you didn't finish today. Forget about the emails or the errands. They can't follow you into the steam. They can't get past the iron. Right now, the most important thing in the world is the temperature of this stew and the way the light hits those old, bound books on the stool. Just breathe with the rhythm of the pot. In and out. In and out. The house is holding us. The iron is warming us. And the night is exactly where it belongs. On the other side of the glass. Just breathe with the rhythm of the pot. In and out. In and out. The house is holding us. The iron is warming us. And the night is exactly where it belongs, on the other side of the glass. Now, let's leave the pot to its humming for a moment. I need to find the secret to this batch, the little something that makes a shepherd's stew feel like a proper celebration. Come with me over to this side of the kitchen. I call this my wall of seasons. It's where I keep the summer and autumn tucked away in glass. Just look at these shelves. It's a bit like a library, isn't it? But instead of stories written in ink, these are stories told in flavor. I've got jars of golden honey that still hold the memory of the clover fields, and rows of pickled greens that are as bright and crisp as the day they were tucked into the brine. See that one there? The jar with the glowing green liquid? That's my herb-infused oil. It catches the candlelight and holds it like a little piece of trapped sunshine to help us get through a rainy night like this one. I'm looking for a very specific jar, a wild onion jam I made back when the mornings were still misty and cool. I think it's tucked behind the dried lavender. Can you see the bundles hanging from the beams above us? I love the way they sway ever so slightly when the wind finds a tiny gap in the stone. They fill this corner with a scent that's soft and sleepy, a perfect contrast to the sharp, savory smell of the onions and the garlic hanging in their braids. There's something deeply satisfying about seeing all these provisions gathered together. We've got baskets of potatoes and onions sitting right on the flagstones, ready and waiting. It's a reminder that we are prepared. No matter how long the storm decides to stay, we have everything we need right here within these four walls. It's a safe harbor just for us. Look at the way the light from the stove in the next room spills across the floor, highlighting the texture of the stone. It's a warm amber path that leads right back to the heart of the home. And there, on the table, I've already set out a fresh loaf of crusty bread. I can practically hear it singing as it cools. I've even put a little crock of butter next to it, with a wooden spreader ready to go. I know your mind might still be trying to wander back to the world outside, to the things you didn't do, or the noise you left behind. But try to let your eyes just rest on the jars for a moment. Pick a color, the deep red of the preserved berries, or the earthy brown of the dried beans. Focus on that one thing. Let the complexity of the world fade away, replaced by the simple, honest geometry of a pantry shelf. I found it, the wild onion jam. It's dark and rich, and just a spoonful of this into the pot will change everything. It's the micro-narrative of our evening, the small task that leads us one step closer to rest. We're doing this together, remember? I'm the guide, and you're the honored guest. We're moving through this night with a slow motion purpose, taking our time because there is simply no reason to rush. Let's head back toward the warmth of the stove. The kettle is just starting to think about whistling, and the bread is waiting for us. We've gathered our treasures from the larder, and now it's time to bring them home, to the hearth. Let's head back toward the warmth of the stove. The kettle is just starting to think about whistling, and the bread is waiting for us. We've gathered our treasures from the larder, and now it's time to bring them home, to the hearth. There. Can you feel that? The air right here by the fire has a different weight to it now. It's thick with the scent of those heirloom carrots and the wild onion jam we just added. The stew is truly simmering now, finding its own rhythm as the ingredients get to know one another in the dark of the pot. Just listen to it for a moment, that soft, bubbling mutter. It's the sound of a house at peace, while the world outside is in an uproar. The wind is really finding its way into the chimney now, giving a low, mournful howl as it passes over the stone. But look at our fire. It doesn't care one bit. It just keeps licking at the bottom of the iron, turning those logs into a steady, pulsing glow. I've settled back onto my stool here, and I'm glad to see you've kept your place in the armchair. You look a world away from the person who first knocked on my door. The tension in your jaw has finally started to let go, hasn't it? I'm just going to give the pot a gentle stir. Hear that? The rhythmic clink of the wooden ladle against the cast iron. It's a solid, grounding sound. Clink, swish, clink. I'm making sure nothing sticks to the bottom, but mostly, I'm just enjoying the feel of the steam on my face. It's like a warm veil, carrying the essence of the garden and the woods directly to us. Look at the stool right in front of you. I've left my carving knife there, along with a wooden spoon I'm still working on. Do you see the curls of blonde wood scattered on the seat? I was working on that this afternoon before the rain started. There's something so honest about a piece of wood becoming a tool. It takes time, and it takes a steady hand, and it can't be rushed. Much like this evening, much like the way your mind is finally starting to settle. I've placed a leather pouch on the floor nearby, spilling out some fresh bay leaves and a couple of earthy beets. The colors are so rich in this light. Deep purples and dusty greens against the gray of the flagstones. And look at the mantle above the fire. I've got my favorite books lined up there, their leather spines worn soft by years of being read and reread. Beside them are a few amber glass bottles, holding oils and tinctures I've blended myself. Everything we see tells a story of preparation and care. It's a comfortable silence we're sharing now, isn't it? Not the kind of silence that feels empty, but the kind that feels full. Full of the sound of the rain against the glass, the crackle of the birch logs, and the steady, reliable presence of the hearth. You don't need to entertain me, and I don't need to perform for you. We are just two souls sharing a pocket of warmth in a cold, wet world. I've left a mug of tea on the hearthstone near your feet to keep it warm. The steam from it joins the steam from the pot, twisting together in the golden light of the candle on the mantle. If you look closely at the pot now, you can see the chunks of potato and carrot bobbing to the surface before disappearing back into the rich, brown broth. It's a slow-motion dance, a tiny universe contained within an iron circle. Take a deep breath. Can you feel the herbs, the rosemary and the bay settling in your chest? Let that warmth be your anchor. Outside, the Highland night is vast and wild, but here, the world is only as large as the reach of the firelight. We have everything we need. The bread is sliced, the stew is almost ready, and the storm is just a song we're listening to from the safety of the shore. Just sit. Just be. The clink of the ladle and the song of the chimney are all the company we need. For now. There we are. So the time for doing is over, and the time for simply being has arrived. I'm just going to lift the lid one last time. Oh, the steam is wonderful. It's a thick, savoury cloud that carries the scent of every garden herb we tucked into the iron. I'm ladling a portion into this deep earthenware bowl for you. Can you see the steam rising in those lazy, curling ribbons? It looks like a little piece of the hearth is coming right to the table. I've placed it right there in front of you, next to that thick slice of crusty bread and the small crock of yellow butter. Don't worry about picking up your spoon just yet, if you aren't ready. The bowl is thick and heavy. It'll hold the heat for a long time. Just let the warmth of it radiate toward your face. It's a gentle heat, like a second hearth for your hands. Notice how the storm has changed its tune. The wild roar that greeted you at the door has settled into a steady, rhythmic drumming against the window pane. It's no longer a threat, it's a lullaby. The world outside is blue and cold, but it's distant. Look at the condensation on the glass. Those little tracks of water reflect the light of the lantern sitting on the ledge. Beside the lantern, there's a little carved owl and a spiraling shell I found on the coast years ago. They're just small things, quiet things, watching the rain with us. The cat has moved again. He's found a stool right next to the fire, curled up on a plaid wool blanket. He knows the hard work of the day is done. He's the master of rest, and we'd do well to follow his lead. The fire is burning lower now, shifting from bright, snapping flames to a deep, resonant orange glow that pulses with the draft. On the table next to your bowl, I've left my journal and an inkwell with a single feather quill. I've finished my notes for the day. There are no more lists to check, no more errands to run. Even the coins lying there on the wood don't matter much tonight. They're just bits of metal. The real wealth is here in the warmth of the bowl and the stillness of the room. You've done enough today. Whatever you didn't finish, whatever you're worried about for tomorrow, let it sit outside in the rain for a while. It's okay to let the world wait. You have my permission to just focus on the texture of the bread, or the way the light catches the jars of tinctures on the shelves. I'm going to just sit here for a bit and watch the embers. I might pick up one of those old leather-bound books later, but for now, I'm content with the silence. The house is quiet, the stew is nourishing, and you are safe. Feel your breath slowing down to match the rhythm of the rain. In and out. Rhythmic and certain. Everything is exactly as it should be. Take a small piece of that bread. Dip it into the broth. Let the slow motion task of eating be your only focus. There is a deep, quiet power in feeding the body and the soul at the same time. We aren't rushing toward the end of the night. We are lingering in the heart of it. The storm may howl, but here, the light is steady, and you are held. There is a deep, quiet power in feeding the body and the soul at the same time. We aren't rushing toward the end of the night. We are lingering in the heart of it. The storm may howl, but here, the light is steady, and you are held. The bowl is empty now. leaving behind only that lingering, spiced warmth in your chest. I've taken the dishes away, and the heavy oak table is clear once more, save for the chopping block where our journey together began. If you look over there, just on the edge of the candle's reach, you can see the last of the garden's bounty, the stray carrots, a few earthy potatoes, and that bundle of rosemary we used, all resting quietly in the shadows. They've done their work for the night, just as we have. There is a season for labor, and there is a season for the harvest. But now we have reached the season of rest. I've made my rounds to ensure the cottage is tight against the weather. I checked the latch on the heavy wooden door one last time, and I've tucked a few extra logs near the hearth to keep the spirits of the house fed until morning. Can you see the light from the candles in the wall niches? They're burning low, their little flames standing perfectly still now that the house has settled and the drafts have been chased away. Even the cat hasn't moved an inch from his rug. He's tucked his nose under his tail, a sure sign that the night is meant for deep, untroubled dreaming. I'm going to retire to my own corner now and leave you to the peace of this room. You don't need to listen to my voice anymore. You don't need to follow any more stories, and you don't need to think about any more tasks. I am handing the watch over to the house itself. The stone walls will keep the heat, the roof will keep the rain at bay, and the embers will keep the shadows friendly. Just look at the window one last time. The blue of the storm has deepened into a velvety midnight black, and the rain is just a soft, persistent whisper against the stone. It's a rhythmic sound, isn't it? Like the house itself is breathing. I want you to match that rhythm. Let your eyes grow heavy as you watch the orange glow of the fire pulse against the far wall. The heavy cast iron pot is still hanging there, holding the last of the day's heat, a silent sentinel over the hearth. You are exactly where you need to be. There are no more hills to climb tonight. There is no noise from the world that can reach you here. This room is your sanctuary, and it will remain just like this, warm, golden, and still for as long as you need it. You have my permission to let go. Let the buzzing in your mind fade into the sound of the rain. I'll be just through the doorway if the wind picks up, but for now, the cottage is yours. Rest your head back. Feel the weight of the wool. The fire is low, the tea is finished, and the day is done. You've found the safe harbor you were looking for. Sleep well. Rest deep. I'll see you in the morning light.